Hi, I'm Ryan Maxwell. I'm Integrated Solutions Consultant for Greenmark, and I've been here about 6 years. So first we'll navigate to the Starfire page on a GS2 or a GS3 receiver. Do that simply by pushing the bottom right button, the menu button, and then clicking the Starfire page. The rest of the video will take place here in the Generation 4 simulator. So to get to the Starfire page on the Generation 4, menu button in the bottom right, application, and then scroll down to the Starfire. Or on a Gen 4, if you touch the clock, it's kind of a shortcut key, and you can touch anywhere in this bar, which will bring you to the same Starfire page. So right now we're looking at the main info page, which we can see our position mode is 3D RTK. Green dot is good, means you have good signal, and your status bars on the right are going to fluctuate depending on your GPS signal and your accuracy. Here in the middle, informative information here is for your latitude and longitude, your current altitude, and then GPS course, which is also called GPS heading. So if you're making an A+ heading guidance line, this is where you'd get that number for your heading. Your roll, pitch, and yaw down at the bottom just tells you what your TCM module is doing. Make sure it's functioning. Across the top, the different tabs here, we'll jump into the Setup tab. This shows the current correction mode that you're set to. So for this, we're on RTK. If we wanted to pull it back down to SF1, we could just select and choose SF1 there. The default checkbox is most of the time going to be checked, assuming you're on current software. That means it'll be pulling in the current correction frequency from the satellites. And then mount direction is important. It's exactly that. If you have your receiver mounted on reverse, backwards, you need to have backwards selected in that box. So another thing to note on this page, hours on after shutdown, I always select 24 hours, which means you turn the key off on your machine, your GPS receiver stays powered up and connected to satellites. So when you come back in the morning, it's going to have signal immediately, and you don't have to wait for it to build. Down here in the bottom center is your TCM calibration, terrain compensation module. It tells you if you're on a hill or an incline, and that needs calibrated anytime you put your receiver on a different machine or anytime the pitch of that machine is drastically changed. So for example, if you are harvesting wheat and you're carrying your draper head, it's going to pull the front of your combine down because of the weight of the head. But if you're cutting beans and the head is on the ground, the weight of that head is going to be on the ground and not on the combine. So the front of that combine will pull up a little bit. So you would want to recalibrate your TCM at that point. To do that, push the calibrate button, and it's going to walk you through the steps and tell you exactly what to do on the screen. So you want to park on a flat level surface and line up with a reference point. You don't have to get out and put a flag in the ground like some people do. I usually pull up next to a tree or a telephone pole and then push this next arrow. It's going to calibrate, and then it's going to have you turn the machine around 180 degrees and park in the exact same spot lined up with the exact same reference point and push calibrate again. When you do that, you should get a successful message. If you do, go ahead and push next, and your TCM is then calibrated. So the next tab at the top, activations, is kind of an informative page. It tells you what activations are on your receiver. It tells you the subscription end date or your expiration date for your SF2 and SF3, and here's also a place where you can find the serial number of your receiver. Over on the right, the next button down is your RTK button. This is where you would go if you needed to connect to a different tower. And to do that, you would push the configure button. Always want to make sure you're on vehicle. And then you would type in the numbers of your new tower that you want to connect to and push the accept arrow. Here in the middle where it says base station data, as soon as you configure to a new station, it's going to go to 0 on all these numbers here. And once those change from 0 back to right here, we can see we're 0.08 miles from the tower. Once all that fills in, that means you're connected to that new tower, and you should be able to jump back into the main page and see that you are on RTK. So that's really it on that page. The next button down is your satellite button. This is going to tell you what satellites you're connected to and which ones you're trying to connect to. You can jump your view from GPS to GLONASS satellites if you want to. And this also shows you a sky plot. And imagine this as in the middle here is you sitting in the field, and anything directly in the middle of that sky plot is directly above you. Anything out toward the edge, like satellite 15 right here, is going to be out toward the horizon, and you're not going to get as good of a satellite signal from this 15 satellite as you would this number 8 satellite. One thing to note on satellite receivers, since this is the year 2020, this marks the end of life for Starfire ITC receivers. So after the end of this year, December 31st, those receivers are not going to work for any type of a machine control application such as AutoTrack. So if you have any Starfire ITC receivers, please see us about getting those replaced. Additionally, all Starfire 3000 and Starfire 6000s will require the 20-2 software update to work beyond that same point. This software update will be available soon, so please see one of your Greenmark Integrated Solutions consultants for details.